Hey, middle school, it's Miss Adamides here to do your read aloud for this week. We're going to read Thank You, Ma'am by Langston Hughes. Some of you may have read this short story before or have heard of it, but that's okay. We're going to reread it. We're going to open our mind back up to the story, see if we can find any new clues or learn something new about the story today. When we're done, we're going to complete this chart. Characters, who is doing the action? Okay, so in this story, who's doing the action? Setting, where and when does the story take place? In the story we're reading today, the when is not very clear. So there's clues that can help us pick up when it happened, okay? I'm going to give you a hint now. Think of the past, present, and future, okay? Think about that. Problem, what does the character want, need, or think but can't get? So it's very important in this story, there's something that our character or one of our characters wants but cannot get, okay? So not necessarily what the problem is, but what can't they get? That's very important here. Solution, how does the character get what they want or need, or does their thinking change? So go back to our problem, okay? So he has a problem. Does he get them? Does he not get them? And or does his thinking change? Okay. All right. So let's read. Thank you, ma'am. I have put the text on the PowerPoint slide, so you may read it to yourself, or you may listen to me read, your choice. Okay. Let's get started. She was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it but hammer and nails. It had a long strap, and she carried it slung across her shoulder. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and she was walking alone when a boy ran up behind her and tried to snatch her purse. The strap broke with the single tug the boy gave it from behind. But the boy's weight and the weight of the purse combined caused him to lose his balance. Instead of taking off full blast as he had hoped, the boy fell on his back on the sidewalk, and his legs flew up. The large woman simply turned around and kicked him right square in his blue jean sitter. Then she reached down, picked the boy up by his shirt front, and shook him until his teeth rattled. After that, the woman said, "Pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here." She still held him, but she bent down enough to permit him to stoop and pick up her purse. Then she said, "Now ain't you ashamed of yourself?" Firmly gripped by his shirt front, the boy said, "Yes'm." The woman said, "What did you want to do it for?" The boy said, "I didn't aim to." She said, "You a lie." By the time 2 or 3 people passed, stopped, turned to look, and some stood watching. "If I turn you loose, will you run?" asked the woman. "Yes," said the boy. "Then I won't turn you loose," said the woman. She did not release him. "Lady, I'm sorry," whispered the boy. Your face is dirty. I got a great mind to wash your face for you. Ain't you got nobody home to tell you to wash your face?" "No," said the boy. "Then it will get washed this evening," said the large woman, starting up the street, dragging the frightened boy behind her. He looked as if he were 14 or 15, frail and wild, in tennis shoes and blue jeans. The woman said, "You ought to be my son. I would teach you right from wrong. Least I can do right now is to wash your face. Are you hungry?" "No," said the being dragged boy. "I just want you to turn me loose." "Was I bothering you when I turned that corner?" asked the woman. "No." "But you put yourself in contact with me," said the woman. "If you think that contact is not going to last a while, you got another thought coming. When I get through with you, sir, you are going to remember Miss Luella Bates Washington Jones." Sweat popped out of the boy's face, and he began to struggle. "Miss Jones, stopped, jerked him around in front of her, put a half Nelson around his neck, and continued to drag him up the street. When she got to the door, she dragged the boy inside, down a hall, and into a large kitchenette furnished room at the rear of the house. She switched on the light and left the door open. The boy could hear other roomers laughing and talking in the large house. Some of their doors were open, too, so he knew he and the woman were not alone. The woman still had him by the neck in the middle of her room. She said, "What's your name?" "Roger," answered the boy. "Then, Roger, you go to that sink and wash your face," said the woman, whereupon she turned him loose at last. Roger looked at the door, looked at the woman, looked at the door, and went to the sink. "Let the water run until it gets warm," she said. "Here's a clean towel." "You gonna take me to jail?" asked the boy, bending over the sink. "Not with that face, I would not take you nowhere," said the woman. "Here I am trying to get home to cook me a bite to eat, and you snatch my pocketbook. Maybe you ain't been to your supper either, late as it be. Have you?" "There's nobody home at my house," said the boy. "Then we'll eat," said the woman. "I believe you're hungry, or been hungry, to try to snatch my pocketbook." "I wanted a pair of blue suede shoes," said the boy. "Well, you didn't have to snatch my pocketbook to get some suede shoes," said Miss Luella Bates Washington Jones. "You could have asked me." "Ma'am?" The water dripping from his face. The boy looked at her. There was a long pause, a very long pause. After he had dried his face and not knowing what else to do, dried it again. The boy turned around, wondering what next. The door was open. He could make a dash for it down the hall. He could run, 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 run. The woman was sitting on the daybed. After a while, she said, "I were young once, and I snatched things I could not get." There was another long pause. The boy's mouth opened. Then he frowned. But not knowing he frowned, the woman said, You thought I was going to say but, didn't you? You thought I was going to say, but I didn't snatch people's pocketbook. Well, I wasn't going to say that." Pause. Silence. I have done things too, which I would not tell you, son. Neither tell God if he didn't already know. So you sat down while I fix us something to eat. You might run that comb through your hair so you will look presentable. In another corner of the room, behind a screen, was a gas plate and a nice box. Miss Jones got up and went behind the screen. The woman did not watch the boy to see if he was going to run now, nor did she watch her purse, which she left behind her on the daybed. But the boy took care to sit on the far side of the room where he thought she could easily see him out of the corner of her eye, if she wanted to. He did not trust the woman not to trust him, and he did not want to be mistrusted now. "Do you need somebody to go to the store?" asked the boy. "Maybe to get some milk or something?" "Don't believe I do," said the woman, "unless you want sweet milk yourself. I was going to make cocoa out of this canned milk I got here." "That will be fine," said the boy. She heated some lima beans and ham she had in the icebox, made the cocoa, and set the table. The woman did not ask the boy anything about where he lived or his folks or anything else that would embarrass him. Instead, as they ate, she told him about her job in a hotel beauty shop that stayed open late, what the work was like, and how all kinds of women came in and out, blondes, redheads, and brunettes. Then she cut him a half of her 10-cent cake. "Eat some more, son," she said. When they were finished eating, she got up and said, "Now, here, take this $10 and buy yourself some blue suede shoes. And next time, do not make the mistake of latching onto my pocketbook, nor nobody else's, because shoes come by devilish like that will burn your feet. I got to get my rest now. But from here on in, son, I hope you will behave yourself. She led him down the hall to the front door and opened it. Good night. Behave yourself, boy, she said. Looking out into the street, the boy wanted to say something other than, thank you, ma'am, to Miss Luella Bates Washington Jones. But although his lips moved, he couldn't even say that as he turned at the front of the barren stoop and looked up at the large woman in the door. Then she shut the door. All right, so now we're going to go back to our chart. So I have it here. Now there's a little spelling error here, and I'm not going to re-record this just to tell you. There's no D in Roger, okay? So the characters, I gave this to you. Roger, no D there. And then Miss Luella Bates Washington Jones. All right, let's talk about the setting. All right, remember, where and when does the story take place? Think of the clues. Was it outside, inside, or both? Past, present, or future? What are some things that could give you a clue? Okay, so think about the time frame. Think about some of the key vocabulary words like icebox or suede shoes, etc. Okay, think about that. What are the clues? Here, problem. What does he want but cannot get? So what's the whole thing that started this, right? What did he do to get something? Solution. Did he end up getting it? Did it maybe change his thinking? Did he get it and it also changed his thinking? Or did he not get it and it also changed his thinking? Okay, so I want you to think about that. On your paper, make sure that you have these here. Character, setting, problem, and solution. Remember, these are your characters. And feel free to go back in the text. Okay, find your evidence, right? There's plenty here. Like here, where it says canned milk. Do we drink milk from a can now? Maybe not. Icebox, right? Do we have ice boxes or are they called something different? Think about it. And lastly, I just want to point this out. Oh, this slide. Take this $10. I don't know about you, but I know nowadays shoes cost more than $10, okay? So think about that, especially your sneakers, those LeBrons and KDs and all that good stuff, all right? So think about it. When you're filling this chart out, go back, ask yourself those questions, all right? Let's talk about Roger. How do Roger's actions change during the story? Okay, so think about the beginning. What's he doing? What's he looking for? In the middle and in the end. Okay, so I want you to answer that question with keeping in mind the beginning, middle, and end of the story. All right, how do his actions change? Clearly they change, but how? And then number 2, why do they change? What's the reason? Okay, does somebody tell him he has to change his mind? Does he learn something? Is there a lesson? Is there a moral to this story? Think about that. Why does Roger's actions change? Lastly, please don't forget, read 20 to 30 minutes a day. This includes a book, an article, iReady, reading lesson, or a short story. Okay? TikTok does not apply. Okay, TikTok is just videos of silly stuff. I know because I watch it too. But just anything, article, read something, read quotes if you like quotes, read a poem, things of that nature. Okay, guys, make sure that you're keeping your brain active and reading. All right, so this is it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I'm more than happy to help. All right, happy reading.